Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Red-Rupee Cast featuring Dawn of War 2 Retribution. Before we get started today, I'd like to remind you guys that there's a cool little community event going on this weekend, this Saturday, actually, and I'll put up a link to the thread that's going on right now over at Game Replays. WN Cursed over there has set up a nice little event, just hoping to get some people together and play some games or something like that this weekend. We'll probably do a little King of the Hill, and just meet and hang out in the chat rooms on Steam, probably on the Learn to Play group. That's Project L2P, the Steam group, which is for getting newer players, familiar with the game and all the mechanics, since there are so many that happen in this game that are not very easily accessible to newer players. So if you're trying to learn some new stuff and meet some new players, stop by Project Learn to Play. And we'll be there this Saturday most of the day. I'll be casting games, hopefully. And we'll have lots of fun show matches. And if you're just looking for some people to play with and hang out with while you play the game, stop on by. So anyways, that's that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our players today. On the blue side, we've got Wurgl as our Commissar Lord. And over on the red side, we have Putin, who is using just the ellipses over here as his name today, as the Warp Spider Exarch. So, we're on Siwal Frontier, of course, which is one of my favorite maps. I like it a lot. It's, of course, got your natural power and wreck on either side of the map here. And then you have what's kind of referred to, I've heard, as the treasure belt, which goes right down the center of the map. You can just see all these VPs and resources going right down the center line there. Of course, you have a couple garrisons, one on each power side, and there's a couple up at the end of the map as well. Lots of green cover on this map, which I really like. That'll be important for the Eldar to take advantage of as much as he can, because, of course, the trick to beating Imperial Guard is to not let those very cheap guardsmen bleed out your very expensive Eldar units. You can lose up to 4 guardsmen, and that's still less than a single Guardian squad member. So, something to keep in mind, of course. So we'll see how this match goes out. The Warp Spider obviously probably going to be one of the better heroes to deal with this Sentinel, as he can warp around and pursue that very quick Sentinel. Imperial Guard members tend to just kind of leave that Sentinel out there till it gets perilously low on health, and the Warp Spider may be able to take advantage of such an opportunity with his swift map control and, of course, his teleporting around. So looking at the opening build orders, we've got the standard 2 guardsmen with a Sentinel for Wurgl, and an extra Guardian squad and Banshees coming in for Putin on the red side. We're having a little push here, the Commissar Lord and the Sentinel leading the charge against 2 squads of Guardians. Looks like they're going to hop right into that garrison right now and seek some refuge from that melee commander and the Sentinel itself. The Banshees being used rather defensively right now. They're not going to be able to do much without taking losses, and Banshees are, of course, costing 40 wreck apiece, so you really don't want to be losing too many of those early, especially against the Imperial Guard, who reinforce, as I mentioned earlier, for so little requisition. Sentinel moving in for a stomp. Looks like he gets both squads right there. Banshee's now moving in now that the stomp's been wasted. He was trying to probably keep those out of sight. Warp Spider perilously low, but manages to get out of there with 1 HP. Oh my goodness! The Commissar took one last shot and then gave up the chase. He might have been able to get one more with a single HP, but now he is the one that's in danger. Retreating through all those Banshees, looks like he's going to get out of there intact. The Sentinel's still running around very low, probably going to try to get some decap happening around. Meanwhile, Guardsmen are up here capping the top victory point, and we'll be able to get a little patchwork done on that Sentinel while it's not in action. Meanwhile, Banshee's moving in. It's backing up. It might not have its stomp recharged quite yet, but there it goes. Knocks the Banshees on their butts, and they're going to have to get out of there. 1 member goes down. Actually, 3 members of that Banshee squad goes down, and it gets pretty low before it decides to fall back. I'm not sure if Putin was just trying to buy some time for those Guardians to get in on that Sentinel or what, but now he's taken some pretty heavy losses right there. Lost 4 more Guardians in addition to the 3 Banshees. And this is exactly what the Imperial Guard player wants to be doing, is bleeding off these models and keeping you from bringing too much more stuff onto the field. Meanwhile, Wurgl's bringing on some Catachan Devils, which will make short work of that Shuriken Cannon. It, of course, has the Old Reliable, which will keep that thing from being set up too much, and probably allow the Sentinel to move in for a secondary stun if necessary. So far, looking pretty good for Wurgl. You can see Putin's just got his one generator up right now. Wurgl's sitting on just the cap node. As I moved away there, he just dropped the generator. You can see a nice looking flank here by that Sentinel, and here comes the stomp. Took out a member there. Warp Spiders moved in and doing some excellent job with disruption, keeping these guardsmen meleeed and keeping them from being able to fire. But the Sentinel's actually getting a little out of position there, and meanwhile, that Shuriken weapons team got set back up. Putin probably should have moved in with those two guardsman squads while it was distracted with the Sentinel and tried to do some more damage and force that off the field. Of course, the Catachans are in position to deal with that. You can see a Demolition Man's already been purchased, and they're dropping some explosives, some improvised explosives there. Oh, and the Old Reliable hits just behind that Shuriken weapons team. They're on the edge of the firing arc, though, so they might be able to get out, but the Guardians are in position to back it up, and they have to fall back. So down on the bottom, you can see the Banshees encountered the Sentinel here and had to fall back. Meanwhile, the Guardians are moving in on the Sentinel and having to fall back now in the face of the Commissar Lord. So Putin is trying to keep up here, but you can see his wreck is very starved as far as losing models and trying to keep them reinforced onto the field. Meanwhile, Wurgl has all of his generators upgraded, so going to have a bit of a tech advantage here. Guardians now moving in perilously close to that improvised explosives. Oh my goodness, and they backed off almost as if they could have seen it there, but they cross right back through it, and you can see, oh, Wurgl either doesn't see it or is just being very patient, not choosing to blast that quite yet, maybe waiting for a more opportune time and placing some more mines whenever he gets the opportunity. Excellent use of the Guardian Shield. That will certainly prevent the bleed. Of course, the Sentinel can just walk up and stomp on those, but with the Shuriken Cannon being at point-blank range behind it and all those two Guardian squads as well, he doesn't want to risk losing that Sentinel. Right now, Catachan's getting behind these Banshees, and oh, they are in the retreat path, so they're probably going to be able to get some nice hits on those Banshees. They do some pretty nice melee damage, being kind of a hybrid short-range melee squad. So it's always great when you can position them in the retreat path because they do heavy damage and can generally force any single one other squad off the field. Now these Guardians are also in a bit of a tricky spot. That Shuriken looks like it's not far enough out to suppress these two Guardsman squads. It looks like that line of sight is just barely not there with that rock in the way. A missed Guardian Grenade goes off there, and the Warp Spider Exarch is still just trying to get into position that he can support this gen farm and keep it from going down. The Shuriken's finally moving into reposition here, but now the Sentinel sees it and will be able to stomp the squad and stun it. But of course that allows the Banshees to go ahead and do as they please. Once that stomp gets wasted, Putin knows he can move those Banshees in without any sort of disruption, and those Guardsmen are just going to have to get the heck out of there. So it looks like Wurgl's dropped yet another explosive down here. He's got 3 of those up now, I believe. One at either the middle and bottom victory points, and then one in a little retreat path spot right here. If Putin has to retreat anywhere from this general area, their units will go right over this mine. So that's a pretty excellent spot.
Ready to prove myself, sir.
Meanwhile, the Sentinel's just been running around on Putin's side of the map pretty much the entire time. Oh, some point-blank Shuriken fire is going to do some nice damage to that. And it's in a bit of a tricky spot right now. I can hear the Banshees screaming right now. Looks like they've engaged that Commissar Lord. Oh, and they're right on top of that grenade. Look at that. Oh my goodness. The Commissar just needs one more swing to finish those Banshees off. And oh, there it goes. That's a downed Banshee squad. Oh my goodness, that was pretty brutal. And meanwhile, that Sentinel looks like it managed to survive and snuck out of that trap at the last second with 15 HP. So excellent play there. Nice looking grenade. Some mines going on the retreat path right there. Just forced the Catachans off for Putin, but he did lose those Banshees and let the Sentinel escape as well. So excellent play by Wurgl in both of those engagements. The Guardsmen now moving in to support that Sentinel and making some excellent escapes there. I think even if Putin had retreated that Banshee at the last second, the increased damage... Oh no! The Sentinel almost went down there to the Guardians, moving a bit too close before it got repaired. But the two Guardsman squads will be able to repair that Sentinel and out-repair the damage those Guardians are doing to it. Warp Spider, however, might be doing a bit more damage, especially with the improved targeters that have recently been purchased. And meanwhile, looks like both players are approaching Tier 2 and going to be bringing some new stuff onto the field. Putin's still trying to lock down the middle VP and the top of the map with these energy shields right here. But it looks like these Catachan Devils will be in a great position to flank that setup squad when the time comes for a push. So Wurgl is again going to push in on the power generator and has been doing a great job of controlling where Putin has to be.
Target structure eliminated.
And the Sentinel, of course, is going to go in for that decap. Those mines are going to slow down the advancement of those Guardians. Of course, the Commissar mines don't really do much in the ways of damage. They're really kind of just to slow down and lock down areas of the map and either prevent mobility during engagements or prevent the player from being able to get out onto the field when they need to. Meanwhile, it looks like that Shuriken platform moved up a little bit and encountered some Catachan Devils, lost quite a few units there. And the Commissar Lord is just unable to keep up with that. Could have gotten a couple hits there and maybe finished it off, but it was just a bit too quick. So Putin's actually in a pretty rough spot right now. He's got some Wraith Guards on the field, but that's going to be tricky, especially once these Ogrins come in. They're going to have to be constantly supported by that Shuriken, or they're really just not going to be able to get any good shots off on all these Guardsmen here. And without having his current power farm, he's definitely going to be falling behind in tech right now. So he really needs to try to get out on this map and do some damage here to Wurgl's position. Oh, the Sentinel sneaks in just outside of the arc of that Shuriken weapons team, but the Catachans are taking a lot of fire from both the Warp Spider and the Shuriken. They're going to need to get out of there. They still have several members. They need to fall back before they take too many losses, as they're pretty expensive to reinforce. Meanwhile, it looks like Putin's managed to take back his generator farm. Guardians now moving in on the... Oh no, I was afraid they were going to get that requisition point and get blasted away, but it looks like they have instead chosen to go for that VP. Warp Spider hiding inside a garrison right now and forcing off that Commissar Lord, who can't do a thing to him in that position. And oh no, the Commissar Lord taking some volleys from those Wraith Guards. Dropped his execute ability with his flak jacket, which has recently been upgraded, which allows him to blast enemy units as well, execute them, and break their resolve, causing them to do less damage while they're on the field. Ogrins have moved in on the Guardian squad, but it just decides to fleet a foot out of there. No reason to retreat when you can just run the heck away. Guardians moving in, probably going to try to get a retreat grenade on these Guardsmen, but it lands right between both squads, and Wurgl managed to avoid, and retreats right before that first volley lands from the Wraith Guards.
You know we're ready.
So Wurgl's been doing a pretty good job of not losing many units or squads, which is really what you got to do as Imperial Guard. Catachan's now reinforced and moving back onto the field. And we're kind of at a stalemate in the middle. Wurgl looks like he's trying to maneuver a way that he can push that middle point and get around the Shuriken and Wraith Guards that are holding down that side of the map. Guardians get a decap on the natural wreck point and are now moving in. It's really Wurgl's only priority is to try to take out those Wraith Guards and keep them from firing. Oh, and an excellent flank by the Ogrins, forcing off the Shuriken weapons team. And seeing those Ogrins behind his army, Putin has no choice but to retreat or risk losing some squads. Oh no! There goes the Warlock and one of the Wraith Guards. An Altar drop there trying to dissuade those Ogrins from pursuing the Wraith Guard, but it was unfortunately just not quite timed correctly, and the Ogrins were well out of the blast radius of those Skyleap grenades. So excellent push there by Wurgl, completely broke that Eldar position of Putin, and now pretty much just has the map to himself. You can see the Catechin's Devils have been upgraded with both their leaders and are just dropping improvised explosives anytime they have the opportunity. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of those on the field right now. And the VPs have actually been staying pretty even back and forth so far. You can see the Commissar used Inspire Terror once again. Oh no, and the Bonehead charge there. These Guardians are in a lot of trouble. They need to retreat right now. Another knockdown, and there they go. They pretty much should have just retreated as soon as they saw those Ogrins. When you know there's those, you see those 4 members, you know you have to be wary of that Bone Charge ability. Meanwhile, Putin's pushing up, trying to finish off this Sentinel. There goes the Warp, and looks like he will be able to get it. There it goes. Finally getting rid of that Sentinel. Wurgl's still having tons of resource, though, right now. Able to go Tier 3 or purchase some more Tier 2 units. Both members are now. You can see the Altark must have just sky-leaped away, and once again, kind of wasting that grenade barrage. Commissar Flare there, reducing the range of everything. You can see how small the range on the Shuriken is right now. And the Catechins are managed to get in there, along with the Ogrins meleeing as well, and that's really all that Putin had was some nice heavy range damage there, and once the melee moves in, there's really just nothing he can do about that. Warspider looks like he's going to go down to these Ogrins. He's in a lot of trouble. 20 HP left. Those blasters might be able to finish him off. Oh, and there he goes, falling just a few precious seconds away from his base.
We're ready here, sir.
So the Ogrins decide to fall back. Putin's bringing a Falcon onto the field, and meanwhile Wurgl's pushing into Tier 3.
Let's get to it. Reinforcements are here.
You ain't seen what we've seen.
Power node, not far
So
away.
all is quiet right now. Everyone's kind of getting back onto the
So we're
field.
losing a victory point out
Wurgl
there.
recognizes he has the map advantage. He's got the 2-0 cap right now. Second mine going up on this top victory point right now. And the Altark grabbing the middle VP and trying to minimize the VP loss right now that Putin's been taking. Another Commissar mine drop right there. Not quite hitting anything, but it's going to be a pain when that engagement comes around. And Putin's trying to move around the map. Meanwhile, we see both Guardsman squads trying to hammer away at that Altark. And as we can see, the Shuriken platform's trying to reposition, but getting knocked around by those mines. He's going to have to be very careful with that Falcon. Of course, Wurgl definitely has the resource right now. If he wanted to, he could buy some Stormtroopers. Putin has no detection on the field at all right now, so the Stormtroopers could stealth in and make short work of that Eldar transport, especially before Putin gets Tier 3 and gets the shield up. Looks like the Commissar's doing something running around back here as the Warp Spider just warps behind him and walks on by. Looks like he's going to get a flank in on this Shuriken cannon, puts up that shield, but he has the full force of the Eldar player moving in on him right now, takes a full volley from those Wraith Guards. A grenade going down, but the Catechins stop short to fire their old reliable. He does get out of there, and the Shuriken does get set back up. So those Catechins are going to have to be very careful. They retreat just in time as that volley from the Wraith Guards come in. The Ogrins are just charging headlong into that Shuriken platform, and Wurgl's just going to have to fall back. There's no point in him losing any members right now. He's got the advantage in VPs. He can fall back and cede that engagement without taking many losses. You can see these mines just causing all kinds of trouble for the Eldar just as they're trying to move around the field. Just some minor
So we're
disruption
losing a
and
victory point out there.
obnoxious stuff like that coming from those Commissar mines.
You know.
So it looks like the Warp Spider is trying to get some decap here and bleed down those points as much as he can. It's 2-0 cap in Putin's favor right now. And Warp Spider goes ahead and retreat. Putin's pushing into Tier 3 now, so he's probably going to be getting that shield on the Falcon, if nothing else. But he has to be very careful. You can see the Commissar looks like he just used that execute on one of those one of those Wraith Guards right there, reducing that squad to 2 members, and of course the Warlock. Once again, a third Altark drop right now. He expected, it looks like, for Wurgl to just retreat there and get caught in those grenades, but Wurgl saw the layout pattern and just moved his guardsmen up and didn't panic. That's always rule number 1: is don't panic. Keep the mine under control and keep that micro spot on. These Ogrins, however, are moving very, very close in here. Oh, nice use of the flare, letting the Ogrins run around, but of course they will still take a lot of damage up close from that Shuriken platform. They're trying to run through it, but just can't do it. Meanwhile, the Commissar once again just running around the back of the map and trying to get in a good position. Again, taking out another... Oh, wow, there goes the Catachin bomb, and only the Warlock gets out of there in one piece. So that is a Guardian squad without any Guardians right now. Looks like, however, though, the Commissar Lord didn't quite make it out of there after his last brazen attempt to disrupt that Shuriken platform on his own. But as you can see, looking at resources, Wurgl's just not hurting at all. He just bought a Baneblade and still has about 500 Rex sitting around, so he'll be able to buy back that Commissar no problem. Meanwhile, Putin's looking a bit more starved as far as resources go. He did manage to even back out that VP score, so that's pretty solid. And I'm sure now that he's tier 3 at any point, that Falcon should be going ahead and grabbing that Falcon shield. That infamous Falcon shield, which regenerates so quickly and makes this one of the most difficult transports to take down at the end of the game. I would assume that with the Baneblade, Wurgl's not going to make much use of anti-vehicle stormtroopers, as I mentioned earlier, as that Baneblade will provide more than enough trouble for this Falcon and Eldar force right now. Curiously, Wurgl's kind of just been moving in 1 or 2 squads at a time right now. Nice looking grenade, not quite hitting its mark, but did some pretty reasonable damage. But these past couple engagements, the Ogrins have been moving in, and then followed by... Oh no, we've got off-map artillery coming in. Oh, and annihilating those Wraith Guard right there. Commissar now trying to move in and probably get another execution shot on those, but decides to fall back. The Catachins, however, are extremely low. Altar trying to take those out if she can, but it looks like they're going to get out of there. She got a final shot and reduced them to 2 members. But now Putin spots that Baneblade, and that Altark hightails it out of there. That tank is way too big for one Altark to deal with. But as I was saying, you can see all the mines are still up here. It's curious how curious that Putin was able to take these points without those explosives going off. You can see Wurgl sitting pretty heavy on population right now. Probably not going to bring much else onto the field.
We're ready here, sir.
So we're looking at the big bad Baneblade now pushing in on this Eldar force. Kind of having some pathing problems with that Commissar up in the front there. There it goes. Now it's moving up, crushing those Eldar shields, and not even hesitating in the face of that Falcon. Oh, the main cannon lines up and blasts away almost all of that shield. But that Falcon is just running straight up there. I'm not sure what the plan is with that, but if that Demolisher cannon goes off, it may outright destroy it. You can see a D-cannon's been brought onto the field and is sitting way in the back here on top of these mines, but it's been taking some reasonable shots and peppering away at that Baneblade while they can. Meanwhile, you can see Wurgl's gone ahead and used that main disruption in the middle to go ahead and take the time to capture back the top and bottom VPs. So the Ogrins pushed in from the top, off-map Demolisher cannon getting fired there. Off-map artillery would have to be at least somewhere near the Commissar. Now you can see Wurgl does not even have all of his units reinforced right now. Kind of just running around on the field with whatever he can. Has an absurd amount of resource right now still sitting around, so really wouldn't hurt him too much to lose a couple things. So Putin's going to have to fight really hard to push him off the map and maintain some map control, especially with this Baneblade now on the field. Oh, there goes the main cannon, making terrible damage on top of that Falcon, and there goes the Demolisher. Oh, and completely outright obliterates that Shuriken cannon. Oh my goodness, the Ogrins took a lot of fire right there from the Wraith Guard and the Falcon, but that is one Shuriken cannon down for that Baneblade. Meanwhile, both the Guardsman squads have moved up and are repairing that Baneblade right on top of a grenade, but they don't care. That's how Imperial Guard run. They really don't care about their men so long as they get the job done. Baneblade is falling back, as is necessary, considering it's just below half health right now, and taking some shots from those Wraith Lords. Oh, the Demolisher cannon goes off and completely takes out that Falcon as well. Almost takes out the Wraith Guard too, but looks like 2 of their members will be getting out of there without too much issue.
Power node is taking hits.
So you can see a singularity was fired right there. Oh, and there goes the guardsman. Wow, and somehow still they survive. That's actually kind of how these two leaders work. You can see the sergeant and the commissar escaping here, and that's because they cannot die until all the other members die. So when all of the members take damage at once, those two commanders will generally almost always survive.
Getting it fast as we can, sir. Sir, our
So
advantage
anyways, Wurgl now bringing a Lemon Russ onto the field as well. So it's looking pretty rough for Putin. 2-0 cap against him right now, and there's really not much that he can do at this point in the game.
Canadians are always ready.
Putin's doing a great job of using the normal Eldar and Warp. Oh my goodness! I just love watching that Demolisher cannon. I had to go quiet for a second while I watched that fire. But as I was saying, Putin's doing a great job of just using the Eldar speed and Warp Spider map control to kind of drag this game out as long as he can. Nice looking grenade there on the Ogrins, stalling once more. And Wraith Guards moving into position to fire on that Baneblade. Really, they should fire at these Guardsmen and force them off first. But there goes the concede right there at the end. Looks like Putin realized he had no chance in this game with both the Lemon Russ and everything else on the field. I think he saw that at the last second. These Catechins making short work of some stuff down here as well after the Warp Spider goes down. So anyways, pretty good game. Excellent use of the Commissar. We saw he now has his Fist of Brokus as well, which he didn't get to really use, but we saw excellent use of Inspire Terror, constantly hitting those Wraith Guards and preventing them from doing too much damage. And that off-map artillery from the Emperor's Wrath did some pretty nasty damage as well. And of course, all of these mines, losing those Banshees to the mines early on, to those Catechins' improvised explosives, made it very difficult for Putin to deal with either the Commissar or the Ogrins later on in the game. And once the Baneblade hit, that pretty much sealed the deal, once the Falcon and Shuriken Cannon went down as well. One final Warp Blast going into that Baneblade, as we can see. And anyways, well played by both sides. As always, this is Red-Rupee. Hope you guys enjoyed the game. I'll catch you guys next time.